Yes, Miami just got one. Defensive back depth coming through the transfer portal. South Florida kid returns home. Jaden Davis, welcome to the U.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. Bonus episode. We love to do these when we get a commitment, transfer portal, recruiting, otherwise. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Former four-star recruit in the class of 2019, former Oklahoma Sooner, Jaden Davis from St. Thomas Aquinas. That means the South Florida kid is coming home. He has found a home in Coral Gables through the transfer portal. You remember Jaden Davis actually visited, for his was an official visit. He had an OV the same midweek time that Xavier Henderson, the Florida wide receiver, had an unofficial visit last week. I guess Jaden liked the pitch that Lance Guidry and Mario Cristobal and Miami staff made to him. So to break down the newest Miami Hurricane, let's bring on our good friend from allhurricanes.com and Fan Nation, Brian Smith. Brian, how are you?
Doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Doing very well. Miami's defensive backfield just got a little deeper, and we'll talk about why they needed that depth. But let's talk first about Jaden Davis, former Oklahoma Sooner. What kind of player is he, and what stands out most?
Number one is experience. He's played 4 years of college already. We've talked about this on this show before. There's a reason college coaches go for players that have already been there, the maturity and the experience. And he's went through the fires of all those quarterbacks in the Big 12. You can say what you want about their defenses out there, but there is no lack of quarterback play. He's used to seeing the bullets fly. So I like the fact that they're getting a kid that's played a bunch of football. He's been under Brent Venables the last year, which doesn't hurt either. For those of you who don't remember, he took the Oklahoma job after being at Clemson for a long time, but he's an excellent defensive coach. As for the position, Alex, this is where it gets fun. Yeah. You can have as much speculation as you want because, again, experience. He's a kid that's athletic. He's from St. Thomas Aquinas. He was a highly rated recruit, as you mentioned in the opening. Star. You could play him outside. You could play him zone. You can play him man. You can blitz him. They need players like that at every school, but especially for Lance Guidry, a guy that likes to do a lot of different things with his pressures. This is just what the doctor ordered. So just from a football perspective and a fan, this is cool because you need different kinds of armor to build your house around. And this is one of those guys. So they needed help in the secondary anyway. You and I have talked about that off air a bunch. Yeah. Fits a need in multiple spots, man. They really came out good with this one.
I know this is a specific player that Lance Guidry, Miami's defensive coordinator, who's also a safeties coach by trade, so he knows himself what it takes to be a defensive back. This is a player he specifically liked here. And, you know, if I look at Davis, just stature-wise, he's a little on the smaller side. He's a strong tackler, so he defies some of the stereotypes that come in being a little bit of a stronger guy, but he's around 5'10", 183 pounds, according to the Oklahoma website. So he is an under 6 foot guy. And like I look at starting jobs in the defensive secondary, right? If you look at the star position, where Corey Couch, probably the projected starter there before Davis's arrival, outside corners, Daryl Porter had a really good spring. He could be a starter there. Devontae Brown, the transfer from UCF, is probably the penciled in starter on the other side. So like out of those three, just kind of based on the body type, I feel like he'd probably be most likely to compete with Corey Couch for the star job. Or do you think he could maybe take one of those outside spots? Or could he play safety probably as a backup? Because I think Miami's starting safeties are pretty well defined. Yeah.
We're good. I mean, you got to mention it. Like I said, the experience factor helps. Is he going to win one of the starting safety jobs? Well, heck no. But in a pinch, a guy's hurt, guy comes out of the rotation, experience is going to help. I mean, it's just there's no way around it. In the secondary nowadays, with all the vast formations that these teams run, throwing out freshmen is a little frightening. Even though Miami's got a couple really good ones coming in, it's tough. Devontae, I think, will start. And you were right to mention that. He's a really long kid. He's got experience at UCF. So another transfer portal guy and Porter outside. I would put him at star and let him compete, but I wouldn't limit him. Let him compete with Porter. I mean, you're trying to make your team better. When Miami was great in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up, man, they had guys clawing at each other every day in practice. And there was all kinds of stories about practice was harder than the actual games. That's what makes it great, though. I mean, if you're not competing in practice, what the heck? And I don't think Cristobal, who lived that, I mean, he played on those teams, is going to look at it any different. So I expect him to do more than one role. Maybe it's Porter he beats out. Maybe it's Couch. Maybe he doesn't beat out either one, but I think he'll compete at both spots.
I got to say, a lot of the bat signals that were coming out this morning, a little bit too obvious when you've got like gifs of Sooners, like people in the horse-drawn carriages going down the trail. Like he could have been a little bit more discreet in some of the bat signals that came out. But Jaden Davis, former Oklahoma Sooner, South Florida native, St. Thomas Aquinas High School. So happy to have him aboard with the Miami Hurricanes, and so happy we could bring Brian Smith aboard today. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at FBScout_Florida. Check out his work at All Hurricanes. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a great one.
And for the everydayers, remember, tomorrow's a Truth Teller Tuesday. Our pal Bruce Warner is going to join us. Make sure to make Locked On Canes your first listen each and every day, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.